You're barking on MPW Digital. I'm Landon and Austin. Man, I gotta tell you, dude, I did not enjoy doing the show without you the other day, man. It felt so weird just talking to myself for like 35 minutes.
I know, man. I missed it very much. I was tied up all week. I was gone all week, so I'm really glad to be back. I work third shift, so I had to wake up just for this episode. I had to do it. I had to get out of bed and do this. So I'm feeling good to do it. I'm feeling good to be back.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's good to have you back. Let's see. Last week we were talking about the Tyler Lockhart flip, and today is the day that the transfer portal has officially opened. So it's been a busy, busy day with a lot of things going on. Um, Jackson Arnold situation. We're going to talk about that. Pete Narcos of On Three has Cristobal Jackson Arnold to be a part of Mississippi State. What does that mean for Michael Van Buren and for Blake Shapen and for potentially Mario Craver having such a close friendship with MVB and other players on the team? We're going to talk about that. Talk about some of the other portal guys that Mississippi State has interest in. And remember, this is just the first day. I mean, we'll know more as time goes on. But this Jackson Arnold situation with MVB is kind of a tough thing to figure out, and kind of it's a gamble, honestly. So we'll talk about that. Before we get into that, I want to let you know that My Dogs Are Barking is brought to you in part by ARPA's Coffee Bar in Starkville. It's in the Cotton District. ARPA's is awesome, and it understands that great food and drinks are best enjoyed in the company of friends and loved ones. Their awesome atmosphere creates a great backdrop for laughter, fun, conversation, and shared memories. And whether you're just seeking a good spot to catch up over coffee, a lively gathering place to celebrate a special occasion, or just a good late night hangout spot, their friendly staff is dedicated to make sure your experience is nothing short of exceptional. Located in the Cotton District in Starkville, and listen to this, let them know that you are a listener of My Dogs Are Barking, and you'll get 15% off of your total. So that's wonderful. So here's the thing: for Mississippi State to have Jackson Arnold, even Cristobal, I'm struggling us doing this episode right now because I'm so afraid that by the time this is posted, something will have happened. So if you're listening to this in the future, you know, you can tell us how wrong we were, I guess. I want to get your thoughts on this, Austin, because you think about it. If Arnold comes, there is a belief that MVB, Michael Van Buren, the true freshman from Mississippi State this past year, will leave. So do you gamble with him even coming in? I mean, think about it. If he comes in on a visit and does not end up signing, but MVB knows that you were, you know what I mean? That's like you've been dating somebody and you just started going out, and then all of a sudden you ask someone out, you ask them out, and they show a little bit of interest, and they're like, that's okay, I'm not sure. I think I'll move on to the next person. The person you were dating is probably not just going to hang around and forgive you. Um, what are your thoughts on how this is gonna shake out?
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, we're just knowing about this in the past couple hours. It's very tricky. I mean, with the transfer portal, I mean, you just don't see these guys sticking around. So, I mean, just to put in perspective, Michael Van Buren, Blake Shapen gets hurt, I think, the fourth game of the season. Michael Van Buren plays the entire rest of the season. Michael Van Buren, for a true freshman, does not have a bad season. He looks like he has very high ceiling, a large upside. And then, I mean, you're a Jeff Lebby guy. You were from Oregon, but you've always been a Lebby guy. You came in as a Lebby guy. And then he just brings in somebody else and has a whole lot of interest in another quarterback after like you're Lebby's guy. I mean, if I was Michael Van Buren, I would not stay. I mean, if I'm a highly rated quarterback like he is, even I think if Michael Van Buren does stay, I mean, and if Michael Van Buren does stay, I feel like he can have a lot of success here in Starkville. But if Jackson Arnold comes in, the chances of MVB coming back are extremely low. And I just don't want to see him put on another team's jersey because I know he's going to ball out somewhere else if you just give him time. And so it's going to really, really hurt. But I don't know. I think, I trust Jeff Lebby. I think Jeff Lebby, he knows these quarterbacks. Quarterbacks is one of his main specialty. He had a lot of great quarterbacks like Dylan Gabriel, he's at the number one team right now. And
And
yeah,
you,
it's
real
just
quick, you just mentioned it. You just mentioned it. He had Dylan Gabriel, and remember, Dylan Gabriel was kind of run out of town in Oregon for what? Why so?
he's run out of town. Dylan Gabriel was running out of town. Oh, because of Michael Van Buren was there, and then he decommitted.
No, Jackson Arnold was at Oklahoma, and it seemed like Jackson Arnold was going to be the next big guy at Oklahoma. So Dylan Gabriel
Oh,
transfers out
yeah, that's right.
to go
Sorry.
to
I thought
Oregon.
you meant Dylan Gabriel was going out of Oregon. I was like, huh? But
Oh,
no, I got
gotcha,
you.
gotcha. Sorry, no, I know it's a little confusing because Michael Van Buren was initially like committed to Oregon, but
Yeah,
no, like Jeff Lebby has so much faith in Jackson Arnold, and it looks so good that the guy who is going to be one of the finalists for the Heisman was pushed out of town. You know,
exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, and the same thing could happen. Same exact thing could happen with us. And I just don't know. I mean, I trust Jeff Lebby to know who the better quarterback is. And if he thinks it's Jackson Arnold, then we'll have to rock with that and just pay the consequences. But like you said, you brought up Mario Craver. I don't know if you saw Stonka's tweet, but he like posted like a sad emoji. And everybody was in the comment section like, hey, like, stick with it. Or they were saying hashtag hottie toddy, come to the real team in Mississippi or all that dumb stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a wild, wild week. What happens here in Starville, especially at the quarterback position. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think we were going to have, and I didn't think we are going to go for a starting like caliber quarterback. I think if Jackson Arnold comes, I think Shapen's. I mean, why in the world would he stay? I don't think there's a world where he would stay. I think he needs to go somewhere, and he wants to be a starter. He wants to rack up stats before he leaves and does whatever he does in his next career. I'm not really sure, but it's gonna be a wild, wild ride here in Starville. And I don't I mean, I gotta trust Jeff Lebby because first instinct, I don't know if it's worth it getting Jackson Arnold if you're gonna make the rest of the team mad. Or, just kind of, because I do understand it from the team's perspective. They love Michael Van Buren. I mean, you see it on the sidelines. They really back their guy. And if you just bring some random 5-star in, I mean, it could definitely hurt the chemistry that they have on this team. But is it worth? I mean, if we got a 5-star quarterback in the portal might come to Starville, we might just say, hey, the heck with the chemistry. Let's try to win some ball games. So I can see it
right?
from both perspectives. I look forward to what's going to happen. I don't know. We just got to trust Jeff Lebby.
Well, you just mentioned it. Think about this: if Jackson Arnold is able to come, that's a name that attracts other people in the portal. They go, well, crap, this guy's here, and that Nick Anderson, the 5-star wide receiver from Oklahoma, is also in the portal. Now, at this moment, there's no like direct correlation, no visit setup, nothing like that. Because I imagine Nick Anderson will have plenty of people plenty of suitors. But Jackson Arnold brings in a lot of attention. And look, I like Michael Van Buren a lot. I mean, he's got some really remarkable athleticism, and he made some throws even in the Egg Bowl, getting away from pressure. Like he's a talented guy. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to take a big deep breath and go. Mississippi State was 2-10 last year. At the very end of the day, all the semantics, although we should have done this, the defense should have been better. All those things are true. But man, they only won 2 games and they lost 10 of them. So to me, I don't see why you would not like try to roll the dice and see if you can get something better in Jackson Arnold, and then see who else you can attract. Now it looks like, and this is Robbie Falk who mentioned this, that Mario Craver would be fairly disgruntled if MVB transferred out, but Robbie also said that Craver has a very high asking price at the moment that, quote, he would not touch. So that might mean that the Craver's on his way out, and could be on his way out anyway, that the state does not want to give him. And look, Craver was able to catch the ball downfield. Craver also caught 17 total passes. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying he's not a valuable guy and that he's not talented. He is, but you don't want to overspend for a guy that didn't even catch 20 passes for you, last season. But if you could run it back with Kevin Coleman, talk him in, and which apparently the odds are better than 50-50 according to Paul Jones of him coming back. Yeah, so the Arnold situation is interesting. Also, I don't know for sure if Shapen would transfer out or not. The amount of endorsements he has just from being an SEC quarterback is pretty good, and I don't think he'd start anywhere else in the SEC. Potentially, and I don't know. I don't know for sure. I guess I'd just say I don't know for certain that Shapen would leave, but MVB would leave if Arnold came in. We got to talk about this, Austin. Mississippi State. We'll talk about some of the visits they have coming up, but Mississippi State did bring in a defensive lineman to the Bulldogs, and he's actually a former 4-star defensive lineman. What if I told you this? What if I told you that he's a former 4-star defensive lineman that used to play for Alabama and then transferred to Miami? What? Well, what if I also told you that Jamil Burrows, defensive tackle, he was at Bama, transferred to Miami. What if I told you that he was working overnight in a factory? And this is not a joke. And according to the story, Burrows and his mom were calling Jeff Lebby's phone consistently and quote begging for a chance. And Jamil Burrows, they brought him in on the defensive line. I think it's essentially going to be a walk on. Like, I don't think they're spending NIL dollars on him. I could be wrong, but that's what it seems like from what I'm reading. But just an amazing quote. The man was working overnight in a factory. And literally, Coleman Hutzler and company said, you know something, man, this guy, this is a guy. This is some guy we can bring in. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I'm good. I mean, I'm really glad for him because he's able to play football one more time. Looks like this is kind of the last dance, so to speak. But it's just he was working in a factory overnight, and the Dogs are going to bring him in. It's just I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure this out because I'm not like I really am happy for the guy, but it's like the defensive line is so bad that this is where they're getting players from, and at the moment, there's nothing that's at least out publicly about any particular defensive lineman scheduling. I think it's you might know the name from NC State. He's from Louisville, Mississippi. Entered the portal today. Red is his first name.
I know who you're talking about. I don't remember his name, but I did see him that he. I think we offered him.
Yeah, so that might be a good guy, and he's not, working at Amazon or something. So it's just, I don't know, man. Again, I'm not. It's just so weird that this is what we're talking about. That he's calling the coach, be like, listen, just give me one shot, one opportunity, and everybody else is. I don't know, dude. It's very odd that this is the situation State is in when it comes to defensive linemen.
Yeah,
but it's just the beginning of the
No,
portal.
yeah, it's rough. I mean, it's rough. Like, yeah, when I'm at first glance, I was like, hold up, this is a massive recruit. Like, just looking at Alabama, Miami, I think he had like 2 sacks at Bama, so he played, and I was like, hold up, this is awesome. And then I read more into the man hasn't played a down of football in 2 years, and I was reading all this stuff, and I was like, okay, never mind. And we can't be getting, I mean, if we want to have a good defensive line, we can't be getting guys like this. I've heard a lot of people say it. We need to get guys from the group of 5 that have played football and that have gotten sacks and have been successful at group of 5. We don't need a bunch of Kendrick Beanley Jones, who, I mean, he was a 4-star. Wow. But he was a 4-star 3 years ago and has very little tackles. We can't be bringing in guys like that because we just saw it was not a recipe for success. We need to get guys who have actually played football, who can actually compete at a high level. And these guys, I mean, yeah, they might be 4-star guys. Yeah, they might have had an offer from Tennessee out of high school, but I don't care if they're not going to be playing high level football for your team. And especially if they're only going to be here for 1 year, they're going to have no upside. These guys are just going to be one and done. And we just saw it with a lot of one and done players on our defensive line this year. They were no good. I mean, nobody on our defensive line was good. We got to get guys that have actually played football, that has experience, and that could be dominant. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see how all of our money is not at like our defensive linemen. The next week and a half, we need to be hearing some great news for the defensive linemen if we want to be competitive in some of these SEC games. Because if we don't have a push against Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, good luck beating any of those 3 teams. We're just not going to be doing it, or we're not going to be even being competitive if we're just going to have the same defensive lineman as we had last year. It's just we have got to do something for sure.
Yeah, and one of the guys is bringing in on the opposite side of the ball, but running back Ahmad Hardy has interest. That he was the freshman player of the year in the Sun Belt. Sorry, he was at ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe, and a really good player. 1,300 yards this past season. Played really well. He's from Monticello, Mississippi, and had interest in Mississippi State. 1,351 yards, 13 touchdowns, almost 6 yards a carry. So a guy who really can make an impact at the moment does not have a schedule set up for Mississippi State, but has been offered, and looks like there's interest. There has been he is scheduled to go visit Ole Miss, and I know Ole Miss would really love an opportunity to have a guy like that in the backfield. Mississippi State does have Jerron Manning, the Old Dominion safety, visiting Mississippi State this week. It looks like he could be a lock for State. That seems to be something that we could probably lean towards is going to happen. He played well in his time. He got a Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Week honors in September. Plays pretty decent against South Carolina when he was playing against SEC talent. This in the secondary, this would make former 5-star Tony Mitchell, which is a 4-star transfer, but Tony Mitchell, Isaac Smith, and Manning there, I guess, just kind of as rotation for the safety. So safety position is good. You probably have a guy playing. Hunter Washington probably not playing as often, and having him as a depth piece is good. You do have to replace Bryce Pollock, and I'm not sure if the guy from Kennesaw State that's escaping my mind is going to be able to, to take that role. But the secondary got better. There's also Mr. Kittler, the UCF center, is visiting Mississippi State as we speak. So it is weird, man. Like in terms of people who are on campus currently, there's some decent players in positions that are not the biggest need. It's just that front seven is the biggest need, and State at the moment it's still not. I don't know. I'm sure there will be guys that we just randomly hear, hey, this guy from wherever is in town, but right now they're not. They're not feeling it. But does it to make you feel a little bit better? The secondary's got some extra help coming. It appears.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, listen, I tried to watch every down of this team last year, and we need help on every single position on this team. I don't care who we need some help so bad in every single position. We've got to get some good guys in the locker room that can play winning football. And I don't care what position they play. I want them all. I mean, we're seeing all these guys. I'm going to be honest. When I see these guys leaving, like I'm keeping up with everybody that's entering the transfer portal, putting their name in the portal. I'm glad about a lot of guys just because it's making more room, because I know these guys are not going to be playing, and it just gives a chance for more guys to get in the to use their locker and to maybe be able to play, because I mean a lot of these guys that are leaving are not be going to, I mean they're just not going to be playing, or because if they weren't playing on this 2-10 team, they're for sure not going to be playing next year. So we need to open up as much room as we can, because we need to get as much guys, and we need to overhaul this team as much as possible. Everybody needs to look at Kenny Dillingham, what he's doing at Arizona State, obviously what Coach Prime is doing at Colorado. And we have to get as much portal players as we can. I mean, we can't be having the same stuff as we did last year. We don't need to just get 10 portal players. We need to get as many as possible. And I think we're going to do that. I feel good about that. I mean, we just got to keep this going. This next week and a half needs to be so monumental for the success of next year.
And something, one of the reasons I want to make sure I was kind of continuing to take a look and see if there's any news as we're going, just in case we get anything late. There is Marshall linebacker Landon Watson. Landon, got to be a very talented guy. Landon Watson, former TCU linebacker, then he transferred to Marshall last year, had 66 tackles and a pick. Looks like he can play on the edge, but he's going to be visiting Mississippi State this week. He's also going to be visiting Kentucky as well. So that's a guy who has some SEC offers with some help. Look at that. We're over here talking about how State needs to do this, and they're just like, let's get these guys on the phone right now. Yeah, in the end, we're going to finish this segment before we go into the college football playoff bracket. We're going to kind of pull up a graphic for us to take a look at as we go down with the playoff. In the end, it's a gamble for Jackson Arnold and Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby is gambling bringing him in. And here's the thing with that. He could end up hitting and it going really well, or, man, this could backfire. And they miss out on Arnold, and MVB says, you know what, I'm out. And Blake Shapen's sitting there, with arms wide open to shout out to Creed, and they're ready for an opportunity to do their thing. And with Kamario Taylor there, like it could backfire in a very big way. But, man, I just don't think Lebby would bring him in on a visit, if and there's not even anything that says he's coming on a visit yet officially. But I just don't know if he'd be coming, or that we'd get to this point if Lebby did not for sure know he was going to be a part of the team, right? That seems to be the part that's like, it's not like he would just randomly like, I hope this works out.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think Lebby's too smart of an offensive guy. He can't let this happen. I mean, even if he does let it happen, I mean, what is the locker room going to look like for MVB and Jeff Lebby after this? I mean, it's going to be pretty awkward, to be honest. So I don't know. I agree with you. I completely agree with you for that. I mean, completely.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of people that are the money that's being thrown around and mentioned is crazy. It's bananas. A lot of people out there just getting rich, Austin. I'm telling you what, man. But hey, what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about reaching the magic in life, discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843. And together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. We're going to take a very brief break to hear an ad from Neil, and then we are going to take a look at the college football bracket and go through. I think there are some really interesting things to point out in this bracket, Austin. So we will take a brief break, and then we will go over it.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital.
Football playoff bracket has been set in stone, Austin, and Alabama is the first team out. A lot has been said there. I'm not going to continue to repeat what people have been saying. I think the committee got it right as much as they could. Now, does this bring up discussion about what they do schedule-wise? Like, yes, but Ole Miss should not have lost to Kentucky. They would be in if not. And Alabama should not have lost to Vanderbilt or Oklahoma. And they would be in. And that's really kind of where you leave it. But instead, SMU gets in. And here's what we're talking about. The bottom right part of the bracket. Folks have been talking about this. Penn State, it appears as if they have the easiest run to go to the national title. Honestly, I'm not so sure. Everybody's saying this, and it makes sense because Boise State is in that next spot. I don't think they're giving enough credit to SMU, and I think they're giving too much credit to Penn State. Penn State has not been great in ranked games this year, and it's kind of been up and down throughout the season. What are your thoughts, Austin, in this? Is that the easiest part of the bracket, or does Georgia have the easiest part of the bracket right up above?
Yeah, and right when I saw it, I think Georgia does easily. Penn State, I can't stress this enough. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. How they can be so bad in big games. It's just, I mean, it's incredible. They can win every single game where it's, I mean, it's a 50-50 game. But if it's a big game, I just chalk it down automatically as a loss because I know they're not going to win it. It's I've never seen anything like it. It's so crazy. It is unbelievable what James Franklin just cannot win a big game. And maybe SMU, we'll see how good they really are, but I mean, we'll see if they win that game. But I think Georgia does. Just within not too long ago, there's no timetable for Carson Beck to come back. He might be missing the entire playoff, so that means Gunnar Stockton would play. He did not play bad in the SEC championship, but I think Georgia does, just, not even from a quarterback standpoint, just from a talent standpoint. Indiana only has one loss against Ohio State, but they really haven't played anybody. Notre Dame lost against NIU at home, but ever since that, they've been very hot. I think Notre Dame's going to beat Indiana, but then I think Georgia's going to just, I think they can squeak into the national championship even without Carson Beck. Georgia was my national champion like going into the year, and I still stand by that. I mean, we got a couple really good games. We got Tennessee, Ohio State. I'm really looking forward to that. And then Clemson, Texas. That should be very interesting. But as for now, I mean, I could most definitely see an Oregon Georgia national championship. I don't know how good Tennessee is. I don't think Tennessee can be with Ohio State, and then Ohio State looked terrible against Michigan. So I don't know how they're going to. That Ohio State Oregon game is going to be very interesting. But I think that the top left, I think that's easily one of those three teams are going to be going to be in the national championship. I'm not buying Arizona State, Clemson, or Texas in the national championship. But maybe I do. Maybe I do. It's just, it's a great system that they have this year with the 12-team playoff. I agree with you. Alabama should not have made the playoff. I don't care what we live in Tuscaloosa. I don't care what anybody's saying. If you get manhandled by a terrible Oklahoma team, you do not deserve to be in the playoff. If you have 3 losses in general, you do not deserve to be in the playoff. That's just
although that Oklahoma quarterback that they were going up against was pretty good.
That's true. That's true. He threw for how many yards did he throw for? I mean, it was less than 100, but he did run for a whole lot. But yeah, it's just, I mean, Alabama wasn't even competitive in that game. And then obviously the loss to Vandy, which is one of the most embarrassing losses in school history. It just doesn't happen. I'm really glad SMU got in there, and we'll see what SMU can do. I don't know how legit they really are. In the ACC, and ACC had a big down year this year, but with Florida State being bad, but we'll see. But I'm really excited to see how these games pan out.
There is some breaking news, Austin. That is, and it won't be breaking news by the time this comes out, but Mario Craver has entered the transfer portal, according to Pete Thamel. To me, and I just tweeted this, there is some, I think that brings in some possible smoke to him being disgruntled that Arnold is coming in and possibly pushing MVB out. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is he's like, I don't even know what this, if Craver is just thinking that if there's even word about Arnold possibly coming in and he's just getting out anyway, or he just wants to test the market. But we just said it on the show 5 minutes ago. You do not need to overpay for a guy that caught 17 passes. You just don't. He's a very good player. Do not get me wrong. But I think they'll find that elsewhere. Good player, though, obviously. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. He only played 8 games, and he was hurt for 1 or 2 of those games, but then he was suspended for, I think, 2 of those games. And he had some trouble off the field. So we got to listen. Wide receiver is another position that we need to look at in the portal, especially because we don't know if Kevin Coleman's coming back, and we're not really hearing too many things about that. So with Craver leaving, who's going to grab those reps from him? We got to find somebody else. I really want Stonka to move to defense. I think that now it's getting a little bit more serious that he might be moving to defense, just what I've heard. But, we don't know for sure. But wide receiver, if Craver's leaving, which he 1,000,000% is, he's going to go to another SEC team for sure. We've got to get that value, because he did have a whole lot of yards in those 17 catches. We gotta substitute those yards from somebody else. So we'll see who that is. But that's very interesting. He was our second, third best wide receiver. Kelly Akari has an opinion for second best. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. That does hurt. I'm not gonna lie. That really does hurt.
You know what's funny, though? I don't know. Here's the thing. Again, Craver's a really good player. He's about to go get, some cashola, probably from Georgia or Auburn. He might even go to Ole Miss. Who knows? But you have to wonder if State is not so far behind, they're not chucking the ball up, and instead they have a little bit more of a lead and they can run the ball. Craver, even though he got 17 catches, might not even get that many because of the position he's in. So I'm just saying, I think State probably weighed out how much they want to spend versus how much they don't, and said this might not be worth what we want to give for that guy. If you can finally play with some sort of a lead, I don't know. That's the thought behind it. I do want to get into this, and then we will wrap up here before more people enter the portal. Lord have mercy, this is this is wild, man. If Michael Van Buren enters the portal in the middle of this is going to be bananas. I'm with you. From those top three, I think, I think you're looking at a potential national champion. But I got news for you, Austin, and nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this. There's a team that's going to get 2 wins that nobody's talking about. There's nobody talking about this team. And I got news for you. It's not Indiana in the top right. All right. We've already said they're the nice kid at the party that you talk to because no one else is talking to them. All right. They got invited and they're about to get whooped by an in-state rival, Notre Dame. It's not SMU, although I like SMU and they very possibly might win 2 games. But people are talking about that. The one no one's talking about is the Fighting Dabo Sweeneys up there in Clemson. I'm just saying, dude, there were so many people talking about that Dabo's way behind the times and Dabo doesn't know what he's doing and Dabo's a Southern Baptist pastor he doesn't know what's going on. And you know what? Without the transfer portal, he got his team into the college football playoff. And there's other teams that went very heavy in the transfer portal, very heavy, did not get in. Watch out for Clemson, man. If they can end up beating Texas, who Ewers did not look great in the championship game, and then all they have to do is hold Cam Scatterbo, which I know that's a tough thing to do. Watch out for Clemson, man. I'm saying we'll revisit this. We got to get an episode on Thursday, but watch out for Clemson in this tournament. We will make our final picks overall later on. But Austin, what an episode, man. Had a player go into the portal during the episode. I'm trying to make sure that he's the only one. We'll see. I did want to give a shout out to Charles Huff getting hired at USM. That is really exciting for him. And honestly, what a hire. What a hire.
Crazy.
For Southern Miss. I mean, getting a guy who he didn't get fired. You know what I mean? Like he did not go 2-10. He instead won the championship. And so now he's going to USM. Message a little bit back and forth with Coach Huff, and we're going to see if we can get an opportunity to talk to him here in the next little bit. So excited about that. But Austin, anything that we need to finish out on, my man? This has been a long episode. Players going to the portal, talking about guys working overnight jobs.
No, it's just, it's a crazy time. Mississippi State, we just got to stay course, keep checking Twitter, keep checking whatever we need to, however we get our news. It's going to be rough, it's going to be rough. But then, the transfer portal takes, but the transfer portal, gives. And, this Craver news, people are going to, be real hurt by it. It does suck. I will be honest. This is, in my opinion, this is the worst, loss that we've gotten in the transfer portal, in my opinion. And it's going to hurt. But, guys, I mean, Jeff Lebby and the defensive staff, they're cooking up some guys that are coming in, and I'm excited about that. So we just got to stay positive, and we'll see how this goes. But this next week and a half, I mean, I can't stress to you enough. I mean, keep tracking the social medias because it's going to be crazy. But I mean, Hell State.
Yeah, and look, there's good message boards as well. I think Robbie Falk does an outstanding job. Always have loved reading him for a long time, and so I like to keep up with him on 3 is where I get my news from. But there is obviously really talented people all over the place. So make sure you're checking those things and keeping informed. And man, we will see you guys on Thursday. We're going to talk a little bit more about the CFP playoff and kind of the predictions going through that. And see if we can get you some more transfer portal news. But as we sit right here on December 9th, Austin, I have a feeling everything is going to be different by the time this is posted. I just got this, everything is going to be different. I hope not too. We got to get this finished and posted now, right?
Yeah.
Right now. Do it now. So, All right, we're out of here. Thank you guys so much for listening to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast.